Okay, today is the March 26th facilities meeting. This is Mike Wolf. If everyone goes around and introduces themselves.
Aaron Durso.
Lauren Small.
Casey Blankmiller.
And I think we have Mike Burns from GCA.
Yes.
Okay, as a member of the public. All right. Go ahead, Casey. Why don't you start off?
The Conestoga Christian School reached out to Jeff Belford about items. I'm not sure if they called here, he got the phone. I don't know the whole story, but anyway, they were here. They toured this building and walked around and looked at some things that, and you have a letter and some pictures to kind of let you know what they're looking for donations from the school district to them. The pictures that you see, the fridge and the sofas are in the upstairs, which used to be where Sandy Kramer and Lisa Kiki and them ate lunch above their office up on the third floor. And those cubicles are built-in cubicles. They're on the front corner on the third floor. So I'm not sure what they really want with those, because you're probably going to have to almost break them to get them out. So I'm not sure they're going to be usable. They may spend more money repairing them than actually, what they're worth. So it's your guys' call. The fridge works fine. The sofas are fine. The kidney tables we do use at Monocacy and the other elementary schools. So it's really your guys' call if you want to give a donation to them or not. So
First, Aaron Spores has joined us as well. I guess my question is, this is, in all the time I've been on the board, it's the first time anyone's asked us to donate something. So what are the rules if the board should choose to do that? Is there a proper way to do this, or
Well,
we shouldn't really do it? What's the...
You've got the reason Casey photocopied my agenda because I had printed one off. The reason I had made my notes here, we need to address a surplus auction in the district, building by building, this stuff included. The upstairs up there is loaded with chairs, all kinds of stuff. It's an asset of the district. To answer your question about donating, that could be done by board policy, but you're really opening yourself up and setting a precedent if you're going to donate to this entity and not to this entity.
Mm-hmm.
So my position has always been, I in prior locations, I did 2 auctions. I did one because it had some substantial shop equipment and a vehicle with a snowplow. I did an actual on-site auction because there was enough there to bring an auctioneer. The others were silent auctions, where you just find a location such as the garage at the middle school, clean it out, put everything in there, advertise it, maybe you have to put up a tent. And it's a silent auction, and they submit bids. And it's open to everybody, open to the public. You're not giving anything away, but you dispose of things that way. The question is just what Casey indicated. For instance, item 2 here, the adjustable kidney tables. Well, there's some use for that in other buildings throughout the district. So you're not obviously going to give anything away that you have use for. But the question is, as you work your way through all of the buildings, there is a lot of inventory that isn't useful.
that we have no use for?
There, down in Birdsboro Boiler Room, there was some stainless steel kitchen equipment at one point. I believe that probably still stashed down there.
all the annex high school
Right.
equipment is still up there in the kitchen. There's additional items that are in there that I'm not even sure if they work, if they don't work. Somebody may just buy them for scrap. There's a bunch of custodial equipment in the basement of Birdsboro. The basement of AEC is full. There's a lot of stuff. I had actually talked to, Lauren had saw me up at Pasbo. There was an auctioneer up there. That's what they do. They come in, they inventory it, they organize it, they run the auction, and they take a percentage of however it is. So I was going to reach out to them, find out what their fees are, kind of walk them around and say, is this something worth your while or not, kind of thing, and then that way, you guys can make a decision as to what's really worthwhile keeping. Now, I've had the grounds guys start kind of cleaning up spaces this winter. The basement of the middle school is we threw away a bunch of stuff that was just junk. With the high school, we did the same thing. I think we filled a 30-yard dumpster up at the high school garage of just doors and who knows what was up there that was outside. We can probably fill another one up with what's still up there. So,
You know, what the junk that's outside that maybe is junk is one
Right.
thing, but I remember I've done the safety committee walks through all the buildings over the course of 4 years, and it's just, everything heads to the basement or heads to the corner, and it's just a lot of stuff that needs to be consolidated in one way or another. Then, back to your original question, resolution by the board to dispose of surplus equipment.
Okay, 'cause that's the way I was looking at it. It's like, all right, well, if it doesn't have any value, and we won't know unless no one else is interested in it, and we don't have a purpose for it, it can't be repurposed. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to donate something to a worthy cause, but right now, we're the most worthy cause I can think of.
Exactly.
Whenever we get into something like this, we did this at our work, it sounds easy to say, oh yeah, we're going to auction all this stuff off, but it's the administration actually, like Casey, you just mentioned it, you get somebody in here, you have to spend your time that you could be doing something else, so walk someone around like this building and the other buildings where all this material has been stashed. And then you had mentioned, Mr. Small, as far as getting it all together, that means somebody's probably using the band box truck or a moving truck and consolidating it in one location, so it can be looked at and auctioned off. So I mean, that's it seems to me like that's a lot of work, a large undertaking. I'm just wondering, like you said, is maybe what you said is Casey, is to start with, to see if there's any value in it. Are we going to get anything for it before we go through this exercise of all the other steps?
Yeah, in my experience with the auctioneer end of it, they look at it and make a decision whether they want to mess with it. Is it worth their time? And that's why one time it made sense, I did it that way. The next time it didn't make so much sense. So we lined everything up in our maintenance barn. And 4 hours on a Saturday morning, got a whole lot more here than I had up there, but said, come on in. And I had my business office staff there at the conclusion, and we sat down and made the tallies and made phone calls, and we gave them a week to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Pay the bill. There was no, obviously just our own overhead we didn't have to pay an auctioneer commission. But I gotta believe there are entities such as this school, they could get themselves a real deal at a silent auction, and we wouldn't be giving it away.
Could we set it up at each, different one each month, like a silent auction here? So that we're not mobilizing staff and moving
Right.
it to one
In other
location?
words, just do it building by building,
Right.
month by month. That's obviously.
Or
would
even
make
see if the
sense.
auctioneer's interested, because they'll do all the advertising. If they think there's value, they'll do it because they think they can make money, which means we'll make a little money.
And like I said, the key for the auctioneers wanting to get involved was the vehicle and the heavy equipment. That had value, it drew a crowd.
I would think if the kitchen equipment's working, that stuff has a good value.
Well, didn't Jim Harris have an appraiser come in and look at that?
well, he had a guy that just wanted to kind of come in and take it off for scrap, more or less. So I don't know. I met the guy up there and had a couple conversations with him, but it's kind of been a mute issue because the space wasn't being used for anything. And the other part of this is, we don't really have any space to organize storage. There's the basement of the high school, but there's so much stuff in the back corner of that as well. There's a water wheel back there. There's a couple.
A what?
A water wheel.
Oh, when
To
they
irrigate
lay
the field,
sod?
yeah.
Okay.
That I know had a kinked hose. So when they got the two new ones for the middle school, they just kind of buried that one in the back. That's kind of out of the way. There's some kitchen equipment down there. There's coolers. There's display units for
Kitchen sinks.
concessions. There's so. Man, I think the auctioneer would have a lot of interest in the high school more than probably the other buildings, because they're only going to get $5 or $10 a desk and chair, and we still need a lot of that stuff. As stuff breaks throughout the school district, and if enrollment does peak back up, you still want to keep, I would think, your desks and your chairs so you can just reset the schools up for that. But I just talking to them, they definitely seemed like they had a lot more interest just kind of during conversation as for the high school than, they said we'll still look at them kind of thing, but they just don't know if it's worth their time and effort to inventory 500 desks that they might get $10 or $15 a piece for. So
Yeah, and maybe just digital photographs
Right.
of the things that we have here or the other buildings. If there's not that many, they're probably. I don't have any experience with these people, but I'm sure they just by taking a look at it, they'll be able to say, it's.
If they want
It
to
is what it
auction it, can we move it all to the high school to have them
and,
auction
and we could. It's just a matter of
And
Manpower.
getting it moved
time.
and the equipment to move it and that kind of stuff. So
Now, this outfit next door here by the clock shop, Cabin Fever, I saw one recently, they had an auction that was an online auction. I think they had the stuff over here staged, but they did it online. They didn't do an on-site auction. Just show up, there's a big auction house up in our neck of the woods that's run online auctions all the time. And you show up, there's one up there, today, they had a 1 hour, it was on-site for an estate at the owner's property, and they had a 1 hour preview. The auction starts 6 o'clock Wednesday night, and they drop an item every 30 seconds. Unless somebody bids, and then they'll extend it a couple minutes. And by the end of the night, it's done, and then you have another day where you've got 4 hours to get the stuff out of there, or it goes in the dumpster and you pay for it. But that's another option if this auction firm does onlines, or if Cabin Fever did online stuff to get rid of it. Because that way, if you had it lined up someplace and they just come in, take a bunch of pictures, and done.
Well,
If no one's interested, in some of these things, maybe, teachers' desks or something, if we happen to, some of them, maybe we just say to them, if we can't give it away, which I kind of understand why we wouldn't, we could say, give us some, make us an offer, and then technically we're not giving it away and giving people a chance to. Again, I don't know the legal. I know the borough, we can't just give equipment away. And this is technically equipment because it's school.
You're a municipality.
Yeah.
well, how about if we leave it as we're going to table it and let them know. All right, just so they have some closure. This is what we're going to do. It's not that we said no, but we want to go through these steps first before we can get to the point where if no one else wants it, we have no reason to keep it. Then we can look. Then we can entertain.
If you go through an auction process or an online thing and nobody buys it, then
Yeah.
you've done your due diligence.
and I'll call the auction company and just have them come down. I'll just take spend a couple hours with them, show them the areas, and say, hey, here it is. Are you interested or not? And
you
find
could,
out.
You could talk to these guys next door here.
Yep.
See, hey, you want to come across the street to middle school and run an auction for us?
Parking lot discussion is just more or less you're going to start seeing some proposals coming in for next facility meeting for crack sealing of the parking lots. They're in some pretty sad shape. They're starting to open up pretty big. So we're definitely going to need to do something this summer, and it's going to be a sizable, I think, expense and time. It's going to be a time-consuming process. I was walking the student parking lot at the high school, and there's some cracks that are probably a good 1.5 inches wide now, almost 2 inches wide. Luckily, the macadam's all tight, and it's not. The one area is starting to spall pretty bad. It's starting to get a lot of web cracking, but Amity, the middle school, and Monocacy, where all the seams are, they're starting to open up pretty bad. So this summer, it has to be done, or we're going to start to lose some lots.
You've been talking about it for
Yeah.
the last 2 years, and
Yeah, so we're going to have to get it done. It's just there's not much option about it. So
That'll probably be something we have to bid because of the price.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you'll have them do the filler and then the ceiling.
Yep.
Like the
Yep. Yeah, because what we did a couple of years ago was we rented the equipment from Sealmaster. I had 3 of the grounds guys with me, and we took care of the middle school, the real big cracks along the curbs and everything. And it went really well. It's just, it is time consuming. It was not inexpensive because I think I went through 2 skids of filler.
Yeah,
I think it was $7,000 or $8,000.
and they're not cheap.
Yeah, but the stuff has not moved and has not opened up, and it definitely was worth the expense. So you'll start seeing those coming up the next couple.
So
of
it's all the
months.
schools except for Monocacy?
No, they'll all need it.
They all need it?
Yep. High school, middle school, Amity, Birdsboro.
Okay.
There's some spots on Birdsboro I think we need to dig out around like the catch basins and relay some macadam and fix some areas that are just beyond. You'll have more crack sealer I think than you will
Yeah.
intact macadam in some areas. So
Even something to think about at the high school, logistically, it could be easy if you have some spots where there's a lot of alligator cracking. Yeah, I can't speak for the borough, but we can obviously maybe get together with us in Union. We have the mill machine and we have the paver.
okay.
They have the bigger truck. We can maybe work with you guys to bang out. We've done that with crosswalks. So it's something, we can
Okay.
address maybe towards the middle of summer, but I'm sure we'd be open to helping out.
All right.
That's
Well,
a good idea.
I'll be in
The
touch.
Agility program
Yeah.
in days gone by. Is that
We did it
still
before. We've
intact?
done it before with we bought the years ago that's the tape, the crosswalk tape. We bought it and the school district reimbursed us and we put it down because we could buy it at a cheaper price in the district. So I think we'd be willing to look at that because it'd save everybody money.
Will do. I'll reach out to Union Township too a while.
Yeah,
Okay.
reach out to Nelson and
Nelson,
or
right?
Jason. Yeah. Jason's the manager, but
That's okay.
yeah. As long as they're small, we can handle it.
Okay. I think the only real bad area up at the high school is the part towards the bank
Yeah.
and the student lot. That's I didn't realize how bad it was until I was up there the other day, kind of walking around. It's definitely gotten a lot worse. Hershey Blaze update. Aaron had mentioned to me earlier they're going up to Conrad Weiser
Yeah.
because they're letting them do it for free. So I wasn't aware of that until
I just found out because I was at practice. So.
Okay. Birdsboro masonry work. We have a meeting. It's Wednesday or Thursday with Jim Thompson and Whitmer on site, and then their intent is to start Monday doing the work. Weather permitting, they should set about a week or two, depending on what all they find is involved in the areas that they're opening up.
So they're gonna pull that brick out.
They're going to pull areas
Try
out.
to find out what the failure point was, and then they're gonna remediate it.
Correct.
Okay.
Just the section they pull out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Sincerapino emailed me because I included her in the email, let her know what the date we would be out there if she wanted to join us. She notified me there's PSSA testing the following Monday and Tuesday, or Tuesday and Wednesday, I forget the exact dates. I let Jim Thompson know they are not allowed to be on site those 2 days.
That'd be the week of the 9th?
Yeah, it's the 10th and 11th, I think, is what she said. So Jim Thompson is notified of that. Whitmer's notified, and they said that's fine.
And they agreed to the price, that price that was in the bid. Then
Yeah.
They pulled everything else out but that.
Whatever you guys
Contract's the
negotiated
contract.
with
Okay.
them.
Okay.
Building signage, you have a packet I threw together for you. It has my email on the front of it with the A, B, C, and D options. Next packet there. So this is what I had discussed, and I forgot to send this guy off to you guys with me not being here a whole lot these last 3 weeks with bowling. So here is the estimated cost for the signs, kind of a not to exceed, and then there's 3 pictures of each proposal, kind of what they would look like attached to it. So they're going to be using the existing footprint of the existing sign. The panel on the top would be a fixed panel, kind of like Monocacy's is currently. And then the underside would be a message board. So it's going to be roughly 17 or 21 inches tall message board or something like that, so they can run updates for the school, so on and so forth. So the three locations Jim had asked me, Mr. Harris had asked me about doing are Amity Elementary, the middle school, and Monocacy. The Monocacy and the middle school, there is existing wiring out to the sign, its own power source, so it's not in with the pole lights. So we're lucky there. Amity Elementary does not have any power to it at all. So that's about a $12,000 boring job to get that out to them. They'll have to bore underneath all the macadam, all the curbs to get power out to that sign. So there's going to be, there's other work besides just the cost of the signs, but these estimated costs are with installation. Aaron.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Sure.
I just have a question.
Mhm.
The letter B is the 19 millimeter color message. Is cheaper than C, the 16 millimeter custom color message center?
Yeah, because and there again, I'm not a sign guy, but with the LEDs, it costs less to put a little bit larger,
Okay.
whatever, pixel, whatever you want to call the actual display thing.
All right.
So is the DB going to be above it like that, or is
That's an option. He just threw that in there because it's the only way you're going to see the DB if you put it on a background. With the amount of information that has to go on the panels above the message board, there's nowhere to put a DB in there and still be able to read kind of the information on there,
Could we
the print.
put the DB on the brick?
It can be put anywhere. That's just an option. This is just they threw it out there. Kind of, we could put a DB on both pillars at Amity Elementary. You could put it on the brick on both sides of the brick at the middle school, and the same thing at Monocacy if you wanted to have the DB on with the sign.
So that would be 63 times 3.
It'd be $6,300 for all three.
For all three?
That's for all three.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So you're looking,
That's a lot.
if you just go with a monochrome brown or red, auburn, I guess is what they call it, or red, you're looking pretty much 70,000 from the sign company, and you're probably looking another 20 to 25 in electrical work, because we're still going to have to run electric, pull wiring, make sure the transformer's good, and probably replace some items as we tear into it. So
Monochrome, so just like red.
one color.
Just red like at the high school?
like the high school,
Okay.
whether it's red or I guess they call it auburn. It's like a brown kind of color. Amber, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. So, and we're gonna have to change the name panels above Monocacy and above Amity anyway with the name change. And I forgot to add that into here. I thought I had that. Hang on a second. Oh, here it is. Cost to do the 2 new faces at Monocacy and 1 new face at Amity is $3,000. So the least amount we have to spend with the name changes is $3,000. With Birdsboro being closed.
So for new signs, really, we're looking at $100,000
For all intents and purposes, yeah.
if you go with monochrome.
Correct.
If you go with the 19 millimeter color, you're looking at about 115.
115, 110, yeah. Now, I will tell you, we are going to need to do something with these signs probably within the next year, 2, 3 at the most. The middle school sign has started to have some failures. We've had to change some hinges on it. The Amity sign is kind of having the same failures. And if you noticed on Monocacy's, the translucent panel on the back side of the water jetted name, that is starting to get a little bit of yellowish. So, and that sign's starting to have some issues with holding letters and opening it and stuff like that. So But it's also not at the cost of, as you see for those.
This is again something that would have to get bid, right?
Correct.
So even though we're seeing signature
He's
signs-
co-stars, so I went to
okay.
him. I went to him that way. At least I
Yeah,
had a
they're
number
valid.
that was a legit number. He proposes a Watchfire, which is the American-made sign company. They are bulletproof, as he put it. He was in 35 years. He's had probably 3 fail in 35 years that had really a true warranty claim. So the sign that we have up at the high school, I'm not sure where they got it from Florida. Most likely it was an overseas sign because of the cost. So, but that's just,
So that, the total all-in for monochrome would be about $100,000.
about $100,000.
And then it just moves up from there based
Yeah,
on the
based on
price.
yeah, because our end of it's not really going to change electrical wise. We still have to get electric out to Amity's if we go with that route.
So that's so that additional 40 is really what you're talking about for them to bore underneath the macadam and.
There'll be landscaping involved where they come up. We'll have to excavate, an area, so we'll have to do some little landscaping at both spots. We're going to have to run power out to where they bore from the school out. That's just the boring cost is about $12,000, so it's going to cost us some money to get the electrical out to the outside of the building where they bore it. Restoration of ground, restoration of any macadam that they may, if they hit a spot of ledge and they have to open it up, they'll have to open up the macadam to find out where the ledge is, kind of thing with rock and stuff. So,
It's a lot. I mean, they're not cheap. I know that
Yeah.
but it's still a lot of money.
yeah. So at least you have some costs there, so you guys can discuss it as a board and come back and let me know.
Yeah,
What you
normally
wanna do.
We have to have at least three of us here to make a recommendation to the
Correct.
board.
Correct. And this is a discussion point anyway. I mean, this is not something
We should maybe reach out to one other CoStar sign company just to see.
I had talked to Wise Signs. He came back with, and he just had like 50 million questions. And I just was like, you know what, this is not that difficult. I took him there. I said, I want a message board sign that is this size with a new panel name. This is not rocket science here. So he seemed to be a little confused as to what we wanted. I don't know why. So, but signature sign's been around for 35, 40 years almost. So I felt very confident, at least again, a realistic cost from them. So, but that would have to be a bid. And there again, is that something we want to go through? The KPN process and find, a KPN vendor as well. Do we want Jim Thompson to draw up a design? So that
You
it
don't
just,
want
it gets,
you don't want the architect
Right,
to design.
right.
You've got enough here. You can.
right, I'm just.
Yeah, like you said, I think for the people who do it, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
need a specification.
You can reach out to a couple more companies.
Yep.
That might come in, and you don't show them this.
No, I
obviously
won't.
You don't want
I won't.
If Wise is confused, go to somebody. Just
Yeah.
I would say just get a couple, and not saying their price is bad,
No.
but
I just wasn't going to spend a lot of time with
Yeah.
vendors and stuff. If you guys said there's no way we're spending that kind of money, I'm not going to bring other vendors down and.
But we're not into any kind of permitting because the foundations are already there.
Yeah, there's no permitting. We would just have to get the township to
check
give
that
us
with both?
a approval for the size of the sign.
Yeah.
I was going to say you'd have to check with the municipality.
Yeah.
The two
I don't think there's a
municipalities.
need for an architect for any of it.
No.
So what was the cost just to replace the names?
The panels was
The panels?
$28.33, $3,000, $28.33, and that was from Signature Sign as well. And that's just the name faces.
Now the boring, is that on school property or is that going underneath a township?
That's
road?
on ours. That's on our
So
property.
you don't have a permit there either.
Yeah. So we had looked at coming out of the corner of Dane's office, more or less, in that flower bed by the flagpole, and then boring up to the backside of the sign.
I don't know what the current, I don't know their zoning, two municipalities for their sign permits.
Right. My only question was more or less at Amity was with that sign right by those houses there, I don't know, is there a reason why there's no electric out to that sign already? Was it not permitted from day one? I have to find that out.
You'd
So-
have to
It's a
see
big
their
rock
lighting
field.
ordinance.
It's a big
I mean,
rock.
their lighting ordinance probably dictates that it can't be, everything's got to be coming down.
Right.
So that could be,
And they're bright at night.
yeah.
I've plowed the high school many a time, and boy was I glad that sign was there. So, I will talk to Amity on that one and Union.
Well, both schools are in Amity, right? Monocacy and
Is Monocacy Amity as well?
Yeah, so you're just
they're all
dealing with
Amity.
yeah.
Okay. You guys would know that more than I would. I'm an import, as I always say it. And then the other thing that's not on Lauren's agenda, I had Scott change it in his office on the actual posting, was the high school roof. So if you look at the packet, here, Dave, since you're here, you want to look at that one? WTI is Weatherproofing Technologies, Inc. It is a subsidiary of Tremco. So Sensenig was who did the roofing projects at the high school under Tremco the past year. They were not able to hit the KPN numbers, the pre-bid cost for the square foot for doing the coatings. They're not a coating expert company, they're a roofing company, so they were a little leery of doing the coating, so they definitely padded their hours. And they were very upfront with Tremco saying, listen, we're not exactly sure how long it's going to take. So Tremco's having their installers propose this. So it would be the roof above the library, the metal roof above the library. So if you look at the first picture, it's the third page, you will see a rectangle, the kind of upper left corner over a roof area. That's the library. If you go straight right about an inch over, you'll see part of a rectangle. That is the front entrance of the high school. And then down in the shadow part of the left on the gym entrance. So it's those three metal roofs. The front high school roof was painted last year, and all they did was they just painted over everything that was there. So the library roof is the one that, if you remember in the facility study, had all the rust spots all over it. And then the gym entrance is starting to have the same kind of issues, not as bad as the library. We have discussed this ever since I've been here. So as you can see, it's a KPN proposal. It's all pre-bid numbers. You're looking $77,000 and change to coat that, and it provides, I believe, a 12-year manufacturer's warranty, and then the maintenance is included at years 2, 5, and 10, and Tremco would manage that as well. So we don't have to worry about scheduling them to come do the maintenance. They will call us and say, hey, you're due for your 2-year, you're due for your 5-year, you're due for your 10-year. So they pressure wash it. They lightly scuff, sand, prep the rusted areas, and then they 2-ply or 3-ply a coating on top of that. If you drove past Muhlenberg School District at all this summer, actually in the fall, you saw they were in the process of doing their whole roof as well. So they did the same type of process. So they pressure washed it, then you saw it was rust colored primer for a week or so, and then they painted it, so on and so forth. So that's not going anywhere. It's only getting worse. Some of the spots have grown since I've even been here. So it's definitely something that is going to need to be done this summer or next. I mean, I don't think you can push it off much longer.
Do we have this in the plan?
Capital.
Your
I think we
your
have
5-year plan?
80,000 estimated. I think is what it was, Lauren, if I'm not mistaken. It's on there. I don't remember
So
exactly what
it's
the number.
it's already part of that, or
Mhm.
$500,000 budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, when we did the other 2 phases of the high school roof, Worco was the other company that Tremco had called to get pricing. They were about $125,000 more than Sensennick for those two phases that were 500 and like 510,000. So, somebody from River Rocks printed into the wrong printer. So, but there's your proposal. It's right from right from their subsidiary. So, and these are the guys that if we have a warranty through Tremco for any of our roofs, these are the guys that come out and perform the work for the warranty as well. So it's not like they're guys that just hire off the street. It's guys that have been trained and licensed and the whole 9 yards. So,
Yeah, I think, you've been talking about it for a while. I think the only thing that kept us from pulling the trigger on doing it was that they didn't have the confidence that it was going to adhere properly.
correct.
And you're telling me they were putting it in, putting their samples on when it was too cold for the product.
Yep, the
even though it's within
manufacturer.
the spec.
Yep, the manufacturer stated that they were okay within a certain temperature range. They were doing it at the lower end of that temperature range. They would come back and the peel test would peel off. So they said, okay, we're going to wait till it gets to 10 or 15 degrees warmer. They came back, would have been in the fall, very early fall is when they came back. And they did it, went up, and the pull test tested fine. So, and they're providing a guarantee. So it's on them.
And
at
that'll
that
be the
point.
last we'll talk about anything with to do with the high school roof.
I sure hope so.
Because it's all,
You're right.
this would be the last section. Well, everything this should be under warranty for a
Yeah,
long
the
time.
annex was done when they did the Giza project in 2007, 2008, 2009, whenever that was. That's a 20-year roof. That's a Carlisle roof. And then the rest of it we just did last year with the 20-year warranty. And then the metal roof will give you 12 years. So,
Can I ask a layman's question?
uh-huh.
Because, they're always, coming from a home perspective, they're always touting this metal roof as a lifetime roof, whereas the shingle roof will only last you 20, 25 years. So how come this metal roof only lasted 25 years?
I was told there was hail damage that initially caused the failures. That's what I've been told when I got here. So I don't know that answer, Dave, to be honest with you.
Is that what
I
they
don't
say
know.
about you put a metal roof in your house, it's supposed to last,
Correct.
Because
Yeah.
it costs so much more to install that baby.
Right. I don't know what caused the failure. I'm being told it was hail damage, and just so you're aware of, Amity Elementary has some of the same issues.
So they had hail damaged the surface, which allowed moisture.
Crack the
to get in.
finish, and the moisture got underneath that finish, and then the rust starts. Like I said,
So it should have been an insurance claim. Should have been replaced.
correct.
I guess next time we get a hailstorm, I need to make sure.
Yeah. So like I said, that's what I'm told.
Everybody in Birdsburg got a new roof from the last
Hey,
one.
Yeah.
got one at Pearl Hall.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that. Just to bring you up to speed as well, we had a student damage a door at the high school. I believe I mentioned it last meeting.
Say, it's the same guy.
Yeah. So got the proposal back. There's a set of double doors by the library. He damaged the one on the left going into the stairwell. Once I started looking at the one on the left, I noticed the one on the right has a nice little bow in it as well. And that's just from all the years of the kids slamming it, because when they installed the door closure, they didn't allow the door to fully open. So when the door closure stops, the kids are still pushing, which just takes the door and puts a twist in it. So while we're replacing the one door that is destroyed and ruined beyond use, it makes sense to have them both done because the one is bent already. So the cost for the pair is $3,465. Therefore, the student would be responsible for $1,732.50.
Now, is that agreed to already by the parents, or is this something we got to have a judge say?
That's why Aaron's here, so I'll let you
So-
jump in here, Aaron.
The parent came to Mr. McKnight and myself, single mother on some low income stuff, and she asked if there was any way for him to work off that debt or come up with a way that he could reimburse the school in some other way, because the money's just not there for her to do it. That's why we kind of brought it last time. I don't know if there is or if it's ever been done. She was quite upset. He's been remorseful. He has written a letter of apology, served his days of suspension. He seems like a kid that's a hard worker. So, I mean, if we, could find something for him to do, not a discipline issue. I think he had like one other small infraction for something. So this was definitely out of character for him, but I think in the moment, it just happened.
Junior, what grade level is he?
A sophomore.
Sophomore.
Yeah.
I guess legally, what can we and can't we make them do to, I mean, that's a question I think we have to ask the solicitor.
Yeah, whether he can volunteer his time to do painting or some other,
There's plenty of stuff.
We have
I know
plenty of
there's
painting to
stuff,
do.
Yeah,
but
but
what
what-
can
yeah.
you do?
I
And
don't,
then
because
you
of
gotta
age
make
and
sure
stuff,
he's
I don't know.
legally bound, does some type of agreement has to be signed. I mean, when we get the kids from the court, the judge says you got to do X amount of hours of community service because you got caught doing whatever, and so that the judge ordered, and they have to follow through with it. Otherwise, the penalty is greater. That's not in this case. So I think we need to make sure that there's some type of if we can do it, there's some type of agreement in place that we get our $1,700 whatever dollars worth of labor out of
Mhm.
out of the young man.
Brian's here tonight.
And is there a precedence? This poor guy's got singled out now. Is there a precedence this has happened before, or is this something where we can start to say,
We've had damage done before that's been reimbursed, I know.
Okay.
Not quite to this extent. It wasn't this amount. I don't think, in his brain he ever thought it would look like this. I don't think he thought it was going to happen.
right?
Because it's a heavy metal door, but years of wear and stuff. Those doors are not what a normal metal door is. They're weakened,
Right.
and he did it. So
I mean, I'm all for them working off their problems, but I think we need to make sure
yeah,
we're within our rights. And then I guess you also have to look at, do you do it when no one's around, so you're not shaming the kid as well?
I think
Things are
it
a lot
would be
different than
definitely
when
a
we were
summer
in high school.
for the majority of it. I mean, no matter how you look at it, it's not a small chunk of time. Me and Casey were thinking about numbers today, and it's 100+ hours to come close to getting that amount of money worked off. So it's
Yeah.
going to be
It's 3 weeks.
it's like three
gonna
weeks
be
of time.
summer,
I mean,
yeah.
that's summer work.
8 hours a day at least.
Yeah, unless he has, the other factors, if they're a family that's, struggling, if he has a job, that plays into it too, so we'd have to get all the factors.
Yeah.
but-
I think something the administration could work
Yeah.
with the family. Sounds like they're open to the idea.
Yeah,
It was their idea to begin with, so
yeah.
we just have to find out, like Aaron said, if we're, what we need to do to make sure it's, legally, and,
Okay.
we're not abusing his rights or anything like that, so.
And if it is, then just keep the policy consistent, even if it's $100 worth of damage, if they're gonna come in and work 10 hours, it's.
Or pay it or
It's
work
called
it off.
responsibility.
Yeah,
You know, we all gotta learn it.
Yeah, I don't think he's not shying away from that. I think
No,
it's
it seems like it.
the monetary amount.
Yeah.
And I understand that is a big chunk. I mean, I wouldn't wanna write that check either.
Who's got that one to check with? You have that to talk to?
Brian.
Brian?
Just
Okay.
let me know. I can reach out to mom.
And then just one other thing, we had discussed the gym lights, the gym light upgrades at the middle school, Amity Elementary, and Monocacy. I'm gonna hit middle school and Amity first, because there's actually a true rebates and incentives with those. So our material cost would be $7,700 and $7,710 would be our cost of materials
For middle school?
for the middle school.
How much?
7,710. We would have about a $1,200 lift rental in that as well. So our immediate rebate and incentive would more or less pay for our lift rental. because our incentive is $1,287. So this can be done during the summertime, pretty much any time. I don't know how long Med Ed is going to have money in their incentive program. Nobody knows that at this point in time. They seem to have a surplus of money because they continue to send me emails about doing upgrades. Hey, we have money. Hey, we have money. Hey, we have money. So, at least I wanted to throw this out to everybody because it's something that we discuss a lot, doing upgrades.
And we've already heard many times that, that there's a 3-5 year break-even point with, with the savings, and plus a lot, like you said, I think a lot of these lights had to be replaced anyway. So
Correct. Our payback is 2 years, not including the lift. So if you take the lift out of there, our payback's probably about 2.5 years. If we're just doing fixtures, if you're just comparing what a fixture savings between LED to a metal halide, you're looking about 2.5 year savings. Payback, I should
this
say.
is
Then
the
everything after that.
Middle school and Amity
This is middle
gym
school.
lights.
This is just the middle school.
Middle school gym
What's
lights.
Yep. This is middle school. So our 10-year operating savings is $28,000.
Is that much of a difference between the?
Yeah, I can a 400 watt metal halide I replace with a 150 watt LED, and it's brighter. I could probably go the next step down. I mean, we did the high school gym, and they're just amazed on how nice it is up there. So we could probably go one more step down, which would be about 100. I think it's 112 watt. I think is what it is, or 120 watt. So, but. And I can email this to everybody as well, just so you can kind of read the whole thing on how they run their numbers, and they show everything and stuff like that. So, like I said, this is not something that we have to do right away. I can reach out to Med Ed and find out how long their program is going to be running. If they feel there's going to be money there for the summertime, maybe we wait till next fiscal and do it come next the summertime. But
Is this part of the maintenance budget or your maintenance budget? Would this come out of, or capital
When are
improvements?
you gonna do it?
Which one has to be done?
right now it'd be capital, because my maintenance budget is pretty much cooked.
If you're gonna do it between now and July 1st, it's capital.
Yeah.
But if you could push it into next year, we could put it in the maintenance.
Which school has to be done, Monocacy or Amity? We're getting the complaints.
Monocacy is the one that has the compact fluorescence, the YouTube compact fluorescence. There's next to no savings with that, so the incentive I think is $120 or something like that. So he goes, I'm not even going to run the numbers. He goes, I've been down this road before. So that's the one I gave you, which is the individual sheet.
No, I'm saying, which is the one we're getting? Isn't it Amity? We're getting all the complaints that the lights are out.
That was one we had the complaints as well. So that's the next one. So your single sheet is the Monocacy
Right.
one, is the one I gave you, which is $6,200 for fixtures. That doesn't include any labor. That's not a bulb for bulb. That's removing fixtures. That's going to be better part of probably a $12,000 swap out. Because we're going to have the lift in there probably 2 weeks, so you're looking at about $2,000. We have mounting hardware and switches we have to change out, and it's just it's a lot more work.
So you would look to do like the middle school 1 year, and maybe this is another project.
Monocacy should be done before next school year.
Monocacy or Amity?
Monocacy, because there's fixtures that aren't working. Some of the fixtures are working. Some of
Well,
the
you
parts.
said Monocacy was the compact for the restaurant.
Correct, but that needs to be done as well.
Oh, so not
No
working.
savings.
It's dark.
That building is only,
That's why that company's no longer in business, and they no longer sell gym lights that are in that design. I had the same fixtures at Wilson Schools when I was there in 2 schools, and we went in and we just gutted everything and put new in.
So Monocacy has to get done.
Monocacy will definitely need to be done before.
But there's another
Start of
12K
school.
on top of this.
That's
Another
another.
6K.
Well, it's $6,000 plus another
Okay.
$6,000.
So you're looking at
And lift and materials.
roughly 12 to it.
Yeah.
At MEC. And then we have to talk about Amity because that's when we're getting complaints at the gym.
Correct, correct. And that one, material costs is $4,731. The rebate is $608. Our payback is 2.5 years.
And you need the lift as
And we'll
well.
need the lift in there as well. Now, that's only 24 fixtures, so that's about a 2-day job. So, there again, if we could coordinate, if you guys are willing to do Amity in the middle school, we can take the lift right from Amity, since we're already paying for a week after 2 days. It's almost the same rate. We can take it right over to the
Drive it
middle
down
school.
Newtown?
Won't be the first time I've moved one that far. So,
Could it please escort?
yeah.
We got a trailer too.
And we can take it right to the park and stuff, so,
Does the school district have a trailer you can transport it on?
yeah, yeah. So you're looking total cost of the middle school and AEC upgrades is $12,450. And your payback's 2.5 years. Because your rebates, the 2 rebates we would get back from Med Ed would pay for the lift.
And the payback's great, but that does, bottom line's still the bottom line.
Yeah. It still costs you money to save money 2.5 years down the road. So,
But it's long term.
yeah. And then
And
you
this-
throw,
This company's lights will last longer than,
they are 17, the projected warranty for the LED lights is 50,000 hours. So that's 17 years.
Now, will this help you in your quest to make our energy utilization more without peaks and?
Correct. Correct.
LEDs, when they fire up, they're
They're
Yeah,
on,
'cause-
and they're instant on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They burn less.
Like George, the athletic director, has realized when he has wrestling events that now he can actually just use the center spots, they're 1800 watt or 1600 watt metal halides for the mat, because now he can literally instant on, instant off the lights surrounding him. So now I will tell you, your heat will run a little longer. So that's one thing that's not included with any of these, because they don't know how to quantify that yet.
The what?
Your heat in your gymnasium, because these fixtures throw off a serious amount of heat. So you do get some heat load
Because white
from
isn't a
them.
natural color for LED.
Yeah. So it's your metal halides. I mean, when I change a bulb,
Red is.
yeah, when I change a bulb, I have to wear almost a welding glove if it's on before I get up there to take the bulb off. So you're talking, they're hot. So
Well, good thing we have the air handlers working up there, finally.
Recycled back there.
so, but there's all your bad news for tonight. It wasn't too bad.
One thing, while we were talking about the high school, and I saw it on Preston's, I mean, where are we with that, with the replacement railing to go up to the stair towers? Is that something we're waiting on Brian to look at?
No. The original price to have them replaced is higher than what the bid threshold allows us to run through a contractor. So if we're going to do one stairwell, we should do them all at this point. So S.J. Thomas, every time they have scheduled to come up here to look at it, finally, it snowed. The last 3 times we've been scheduled, the last 3 times it snowed and he got canceled. So that is one of the items for them to look at, to do under KPN. Pine Forge Drafting had looked at it with their handrail installers to do aluminum instead of the painted, and we're looking at about $27,000. So it's now prevailing rate. It's 3 bids, so on and so forth. So figure we'll have S.J. Thomas come in and look at it to find out what the pre-bid thresholds are through a pre-bid process, compare that to what we had just drawn up with the contractor rates and see where we're at, and then that'll direct us which way we need to go. The handrails out front that Preston always comments about, the one end should have a U radius on the end of it. It was cut off at some point in time. Why, I have no idea. I don't know if it was hit with a truck or what it was. It's, if you don't know it and you don't look at it, I mean, if you don't realize it and don't look at it carefully, you don't realize it's supposed to have that U bend on the end.
Was there just a sharp edge there?
No.
Is that,
It's
is
just
that,
a post instead
It's
of
just
like
a post, it's just a
U on
flat
the end, the U was
post.
taken off, and it's just like the end post.
Yeah. So there's some concrete work that needs to be done up there in the front. If you notice at the front of the high school entrance, there's a big crack across the center, about 10, 15 foot from the poles. So I'll be getting pricing on that. There's a bunch of concrete work, just little spots here and there that need to be done at all the schools. Middle school has some, Amity has a bunch. So you'll see more of that stuff starting to roll in the next couple meetings for stuff that needs to be done. So if we have to replace the concrete at those sections where the handrails are at the high school, then at that point we would replace the handrails at the same time, or add that 180 bend on the end. So
okay. So getting back to the lighting, just so I'm clear, this would be work that we would ideally like to do over the summer. So it
Correct.
would fall into the maintenance budget for the next year.
correct.
Okay.
The middle school and AEC, the 12,450.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you still want to do MEC too?
Monocacy should be done. It's getting a little darker every
So
couple
you're
months
looking
in
at
there.
27,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing. This is your part of your maintenance budget.
If it has to.
No,
be.
I know.
Yeah, I mean
I'm
that's
asking.
Just make sure it's in there.
Yeah.
I defer to Lauren for that always.
Yeah, I agree. Make sure it's in there. That way, when we vote on a budget, it's already in there,
Mhm.
taken care of.
All right. Is there anything that you are waiting for from legal review that's holding something up? I thought there was
The only
something-
thing I know of is
It's not contracted.
is Dane's Wall. That's the only thing
Are you thinking about that discussion Jim Thompson said he was holding up on the masonry until he got his contracts ironed out? And
No, I thought there was something else.
I forwarded that out to Supers, and he contacted Jim, and that was between him
Yeah.
and Whitmer, and nothing. We had our.
I thought there was something
Dane's
else.
Dane's
We
Wall.
talked about that. and
Yeah,
there
Dane's Wall
something
was the
else.
only thing that and I think there might be some confusion because when I went back through some of the old notes, it says that they're waiting for their CoStar's information from Scott Albin. Scott Albin's not a CoStar's vendor, but it was underneath the $10,000. So I don't know where that's at, to be honest with you. I don't know where that,
Three.
because it was Scott Albin Glass that was already
Well,
approved. So
as a retirement gift to Dane, maybe we can get him his wall before he
I
retires.
have no. I mean, I can make that phone call tomorrow. I mean,
Because
that's-
we
that's-
already
that's-
approved
It's
it.
already approved.
Yeah.
It's already approved. The board
Yeah. So,
What is left to do over there?
just put the wall in.
We rearranged the office,
Yep.
bought the new office furniture.
I have a lock set that has to go in the door, which I'm going to do under maintenance side of it. It's just the installation of a lock set. So it's just the wall.
Let's see what you can find out. That's all the end.
Well, I thought it was, and just
yeah. And, now we
it kind
know
of got
that-
forgotten about. I
Yeah.
think a little bit. So.
Well, it keeps showing up. I read
Right.
all that stuff.
Dane
on
always
there.
has his
Yeah, I
wall,
know,
so.
and it's
That's fine.
Preston has the railing. That's what made me think of
Yeah.
it. And,
I will call Scott Albin tomorrow and just say, hey guys,
Okay.
let's get rolling on it. So
Okay.
that's fine. But other than that, I don't think I'm really waiting on anything at this point in time.
We got our new doors are in the Annex Cafe and B.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that.
Non-lockable,
Yeah.
So they look good.
And the only thing, other things I saw in there were the lift gates.
The gates across the hallway. There's one section that Preston would like the gate upstairs. There's one gate that needs to be installed upstairs. So I'm going to get overhead garage door in, and that way they can just be a pull
That's
pull
an
down gate.
addition. That's
Yeah,
not a
because
replacement.
Correct. That would be a
second floor, we
new.
can't
That would be a
really-
new.
you
A new
can't
install.
quarantine, so to speak, the wrestling in the afternoons, and then the kids are running basically around the whole second floor.
That's what wrestlers are supposed to do.
They have a room for that, or we have a running track. They could gladly use the running track.
And track team goes out in the weather and runs.
Yeah. So,
And then the
Wrestlers are supposed to be
the
tougher,
rekey,
I guess.
for the lost key, that is that. I had to combine 4 different orders worth of cylinders and make sure I didn't miss anything. So I sent that off to the vendor. They're double checking everything to make sure nothing's missed there as well. But we're around 530, 525 key cores. So once they get back to me with the final listing, I'll be sending off to GCA for them to move forward then.
Okay.
Because they had to rebuild kind of all the numbers of all the key cores, and I had to go through Aaron and my notes as to which ones we changed to make sure when they go to do it, it's correct. So
Okay. Anything else? Then it is.
I had a question.
Oh, yes, sir.
Preston's on the high school report, something about securing the voting area, which they've been voting there for how many years now? And
Yes,
now all of a sudden it's
they-
an issue?
I think safety.
do you know about this? Go ahead. I'll let you explain it probably better.
when they do the voting, number one, they are pulling in, pulling out. The parking lot is crazy, with teenage drivers trying to get in to get to school, and the elderly and people trying to get to work. They don't listen. They try to turn out the wrong way and go down the front of the school where the buses are trying to drop off. It is ridiculous that grown people won't listen to me when I point the other direction. Inside the school, then, they have the voting booths and stuff in the old annex lobby, door 10. It's the bank of
Mhm.
doors. It's right there. They usually take that over. And then on each side of the lobby, they usually put a parking lot sawhorse across the hall, and that's it. That's all that's there. So I think after everything that happened in Parkland and the national news, the elections officer, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, reached out to Preston asking them, is there a better way to secure those ends so that someone can't just, because you can just step over it and walk right into school, and it's usually behind like where the booths are. So if you just, instead of going in the booth, walk right around the booth, step over it, you're in the school.
Well, maybe the answer is don't have the polling place at the school. Crazy idea. There's the old
Township
elementary school down there is, empty.
Yeah,
They
the
could send it
township
down
building.
there.
Township,
They do in our township.
it would be
building.
amazing.
It's an inconvenience, but
It really is.
Safer
Like
than the
usually
school.
I put my jacket on and I'm outside
What do you
in
think?
November until the kids
I
are
think they should
safely
move it.
inside.
That's the Union Township voting, right?
yeah, I mean, election services would have to determine where they want to put precinct 2 in Union, but I would think
Well,
the
what-
township building would make sense. I think it has to have ADA accessibility, which is a requirement. And it's
Yeah.
certainly safer.
I would say
It wouldn't be
For
bad.
who?
It wouldn't if people
Probably not going to
listen,
happen for the
but
primary.
no,
Or-
but
they don't want to go out to Gary and then down.
we'd probably have that. I don't know who we start with that opening that conversation, saying
Voter registration.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
I think Debbie
Voter
Oliveri
registration.
at
yeah,
election
say
services.
we no longer interested in hosting the
They
voting.
just change.
Because I'll tell you what, the most dangerous place at the high school is dismissal time at the. I drove to pick my daughter up one day, and I think like 2 kids almost backed out into me as
Yeah.
I'm doing one of these.
Yep.
But it needs to
So-
be done because they just changed I voted, for years I voted at the township garage, township building, and built a new library in the township, moved it from town to the township.
Right.
So they decided it would be more convenient, which made absolutely no sense because that's next to the high school. So traffic in the morning now is just what you're describing on
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
buses and all the rest. But nevertheless, they did it. But I'm saying all that, the time frame from the time they advertised it in the legal notices, and then they have to mail out a card to every registered voter yay many days prior to, and so all last summer, we were getting all this stuff. Last fall was the first time, so it takes time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is like when the kids are pulling in, they're teenage drivers, but at least they're going in the same direction because they're all coming in. It's when you have people who are already there, you have a line of people from door 10 out in the middle of the parking lot, you have those kids trying to come in, and then those people vote, and then they're coming out, getting in their cars, and they're trying to leave. And they, like I said, we try to push them to Gary Road to go down that way, because the front of the school has the buses and kids walking up from Birdsboro, and they just go right around me and right down.
So they're all candidates for the retest for the elderly.
No, pretty much. Yeah, I would reach out to election services.
Okay. Then it is 7:22 and the end of the facilities meeting.